The early morning combined airstrikes by the US, Britain and France against targets in Damascus, Syria have divided world powers down the middle. An angry Russia has called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council, while Japan has supported the airstrikes. KTN senior news editor Noor Tieno brings us the details of today's escalation of the Syrian situation.
After a week of talkback over the threat by Western allies Britain, France and the US to hit alleged chemical plants in Syria, the allies rained bombs on the targets early Saturday morning. It is estimated that 103 missiles were dropped on a cluster of targets, reducing some, like this scientific research facility in Mombasa district, to rubble. Russia, a staunch ally of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's regime, is furious. The Russian Defense Ministry is now threatening to supply the highly effective and dangerous S-300 missile systems to Syria, something the West has campaigned against since Russia began backing Assad in 2015. The British Prime Minister, the US President and the French President maintain that the action was legal and necessary after Syrian forces allegedly used chemical weapons on citizens last weekend, killing 75 people.
We agree that it was both right and legal to take military action, together with our closest allies, to alleviate further humanitarian suffering by degrading the Syrian regime's chemical weapons capability and deterring their use.
The purpose of our actions tonight is to establish a strong deterrent against the production, spread, and use of chemical weapons. Establishing this deterrent is a vital national security interest of the United States.
Japan is backing the Western allies, but China is not happy, saying bombs would not solve the Syrian crisis. Germany wants the matter handled through the UN peace process in Geneva. Iran was not so diplomatic in her response, with the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei calling the British Prime Minister, the US and American presidents criminals. Both Russia and Syria insist the Syrian air defense systems shot down 71 of the 103 missiles, but the Western allies say otherwise.
And we successfully hit every target. This operation does not represent a change in U.S. policy, nor an attempt to depose the Syrian regime.
The Syrian government also maintains that the bombing would not change anything in its war on insurgents. The Syrian government also maintains that the bombing would not change anything in its war on insurgents. The now 7-year Syrian war began in March 2011 as an anti-Assad uprising, but has now become a proxy war pitting world and regional powers against each other. Nearly 500,000 people have been killed in the war. Noor Tieno, KTN Weekend Prime.